Have you ever experienced a reverse snow day?
A reverse snow day. That's an interesting way to put it.
Yeah, I mean, usually a massive winter blizzard hits, right? The roads freeze over, the local economy just kind of temporarily shuts down, and you stay home to wait it out.
Right, the traditional snow day. You make some hot cocoa and watch the snow fall.
Exactly. But right now, we are looking at a massive stack of sources. Regional environmental assessments, municipal decrees, even national geopolitical wires, where the exact opposite is happening.
Yeah, unprecedented heat and this really historic drought are forcing society to just scramble.
It's creating this systemic whiplash, unlike anything we've ever seen. So welcome to today's deep dive.
Glad to be here.
Our mission today for you, the listener, is to map out a chain reaction. We want to explore exactly what happens when the physical environment just completely ignores the calendar.
It's fascinating, really, because that single act forces entire municipal, infrastructural, and human systems to pivot instantly.
Right, because we build our societies around the predictability of time. We expect, certain weather patterns in April and different ones in May.
Precisely. And when that predictability vanishes, the foundational systems we rely on, like water delivery, road maintenance, federal funding, they are suddenly subjected to extreme, unprecedented stress.
So the environmental safety net basically evaporates.
Yeah, and that forces these immediate, real-time reactions across literally every level of daily life.
So to understand these massive policy changes happening around us, we really have to establish the physical ground truth first.
We have to look at the SNOTEL data.
Exactly. The late April SNOTEL assessments. These are the automated snow telemetry sites up in the mountain basins. The data is just staggering.
It really is. We saw multiple local basins hit the 0th percentile for their snowpack baseline.
The 0th percentile, I mean, that sounds almost theoretical.
It does, but it's a statistically unprecedented low. Imagine lining up the last 100 years of winter data, from worst to best.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
This year isn't just near the bottom. This is the new absolute bottom. There is zero historical comparison that is worse than this.
Wow. And to put that into physical dimensions, the historical median base depth for this region is 65 inches of snow.
Right. That's the base. Yeah.
But Vail Mountain plummeted to just 30 inches. It was a structural deficit so severe, it forced them to pull the plug way early.
Right. They had to terminate physical ski operations on April 8th. Which is the earliest recorded closure in their entire history.
It's wild. It's like a grocery store suddenly realizing its supply chain just stopped a month early, and the inventory on the shelves is all you have left.
So the rationing has to be immediate.
Yeah.
And brutal.
And we are seeing that environmental volatility play out in real time right now. I mean, look at the forecast for today, Saturday, May 30th, 2026.
That's a perfect example of a chaos.
We're expecting a high of 64 degrees and a low of 35 degrees. Plus, there's a 20% probability of afternoon showers and thunderstorms.
And don't forget the wind. It's shifting south-southwest to west at 5 to 10 miles per hour, with gusts kicking up to 25 miles per hour.
The atmosphere is just swinging wildly. It's like pulling the emergency brake on a freight train. That momentum has to go somewhere.
Right. That wild atmospheric swing is the hallmark of a system completely out of balance. It isn't just dry out there. It's chaotic.
Okay, let's unpack this because I want to push back a little here.
Sure.
Our sources mention a storm that dumped over 2 feet of snow in those high-altitude areas earlier this May. Doesn't that massive late-season dump fix the 0th percentile problem?
You would think so, right? But that is the exact logical trap meteorologists warn us against.
Wait, really? 2 feet of snow doesn't fix a drought?
No, because of the science of what we call concrete snow. This late-season weather produces a really high-moisture, high-density spring wet snow.
Okay, concrete snow, so it's heavy.
Incredibly heavy. But what's fascinating here is that when 2 feet of concrete snow falls in May, it acts merely as a temporary surface Band-Aid.
A visual illusion.
Exactly. It looks like winter has returned, but you have to look at the soil underneath it. We are dealing with a 41-year structural moisture deficit.
No. 41 years.
Yeah, the earth beneath that snow is completely desiccated. So when that heavy, wet snow finally melts...
It doesn't actually flow down into the creeks and rivers to refill our reservoirs.
Precisely. Capillary action takes over. The parched earth acts like an incredibly dry sponge, absorbing the moisture before it ever reaches the watershed.
So the underlying drought remains completely unresolved.
Yeah.
That is terrifying, honestly. Which brings us to the next link in the chain reaction.
The friction of scarcity.
Yes, because when that natural environmental safety net vanishes, local municipalities are forced to institute severe immediate behavioral mandates.
They have to. They don't have a choice.
Locally, the Eagle River Water and Sanitation District, the ERWSD, just approved a ruthless water watchdog program.
And ruthless is the right word for it. The data shows that 75% of outdoor water use is just lost to evaporation right now.
Because the soil is so dry and the air is so hot, running a sprinkler is basically just throwing water straight into the sky.
Right. And when resources are constrained to a 0th percentile reality, asking people nicely to conserve just fails completely.
So the ERWSD escalated the penalties. And this genuinely surprised me when I read the decree. If you get 4 outdoor watering violations in a single year,
They don't just fine you.
no, they will physically install a water flow restricting device on your property. They literally cap the pipes entering your home.
It's extreme, but if we connect this to the bigger picture, it makes perfect sense. A flow restrictor forces you to physically feel the scarcity inside your house.
Yeah, you might not be able to shower and run the dishwasher at the same time.
Exactly. And this local pipe capping really connects to a broader national gridlock we're seeing. Systems under extreme pressure abandon traditional rules to survive.
Right, which brings us to the national and geopolitical wires we've been reviewing. Because a systemic strain is happening everywhere.
It's an administrative whiplash.
Definitely. I mean, impartially reporting the facts from our sources here, the U.S. Senate just confirmed Mark Wayne Mullen as DHS Secretary in a 54-45 vote.
Amid some incredibly severe funding gaps, we should add.
Exactly. Gaps so bad that they've been forced to reallocate ICE agents just to physically manage TSA security lines at airports.
Think about that. The federal government is cannibalizing specialized personnel just to keep airport doors open.
It's the macro version of the local water district forcibly restricting your plumbing.
It really is.
And we're seeing international geopolitical whiplash, too. President Trump just underwent a physical at Walter Reed, and he paused threatened strikes on Iranian power plants to allow for diplomatic negotiations.
Though we should note, Iran almost immediately pushed back on those claims of contact.
Right. And furthermore, in the Texas Senate runoff, Ken Paxton just defeated John Cornyn. Now, to be incredibly clear to you, the listener,
Yes, very important point here.
we are not taking a political side or endorsing any of these views. We are merely reporting the logistical and systemic realities contained in these sources.
Absolutely. The takeaway isn't about politics. It's about systems under extreme pressure. From a local water district to global military standoffs, the old schedules are obsolete.
Yeah, when the expected calendar fails, reactive crisis management is just the new daily procedure.
And that reactive management is most critical when we look at the immediate threat of the landscape itself catching fire.
Saving water in a 0th percentile drought isn't just about preserving drinking reservoirs. It's about mitigating the terrifying threat of a spark.
Right, because when that dry soil absorbs all the surface moisture, the surrounding vegetation turns into a tinderbox.
Which is why utility providers are currently preparing for public safety power shutoffs.
They basically have to proactively turn off the electricity grid to prevent sparks during high winds.
But, clinical terms like drought conditions or power shutoffs kind of gloss over the human reality.
They do, and that's where Jessica Rand's story is so vital.
Yeah, let's talk about her. She's a survivor of the East Troublesome Fire, and her testimony is just visceral. She's actively warning local residents about what happens when you have to evacuate with a newborn child.
It's harrowing. Her core message is that fleeing a fast-moving fire will feel like absolute chaos.
It's not some orderly procession. It's panic, smoke, and gridlock.
Right.
She has very specific, urgent advice for people right now.
Right. She says you have to prepare your evacuation bags and secure pet supplies before you ever smell smoke.
And map out alternate routes, because the main road might be blocked. Plus, organize your emergency files. So I want to ask you directly, listening to this, if you had 10 minutes to flee, what would you actually grab?
10 minutes goes by in a flash. You do not have time to figure out logistics when the active fire cycle begins.
It's a terrifying thought, but hearing a mother describe outrunning a wildfire makes it very real.
And resilience requires confronting that past trauma. Acknowledging survivors' stories is how a community actually practically prepares for a volatile future.
Because if a wildfire forces an evacuation, Or, honestly, if you were just trying to commute through today's weird May 30th rain and snow mix, you rely entirely on one physical lifeline.
The I-70 corridor.
Exactly. I-70. And right now, that lifeline is under siege. Despite it being the very end of May, the Colorado Department of Transportation, CDOT, is maintaining strict winter driving regulations.
It's pretty wild to see. The Passenger Vehicle Traction Law, or Code 15, remains actively enforced between Dot Zero and Morrison.
Meaning all passenger vehicles have to have all-wheel drive, four-wheel drive, or winter-rated tires.
And not just any winter tires. They mandate a strict minimum tread depth of 3/16 of an inch.
Here's where it gets really interesting to me. It's like a bizarre time warp. You are packing a paddleboard for a summer weekend, but state law requires specialized winter tires with exactly 3/16 of an inch of tread just to drive on the highway.
It comes back to that volatile weather and the concrete snow. When the climate behaves unpredictably, human-made infrastructure just takes a massive beating.
Because of the crazy temperature swings, right?
Exactly. You get extreme freeze-thaw cycles that physically destroy the roadway, which is why keeping the physical road from falling apart requires these constant, highly regulated traffic holds.
Yeah, our sources note some active construction bottlenecks. Glenwood Canyon is currently operating at 50% capacity due to bridge joint reconstruction.
Bridge joints get completely pulverized by these temperature swings.
And CDOT has put out an explicit warning. Do not, under any circumstances, try to use local forest roads as a detour.
Right, like Cottonwood Pass. Those roads are not engineered for interstate traffic, and they are highly vulnerable to mudslides right now.
So you're just trapped on the main artery. But, you can't regulate your way out of a collapsing infrastructure forever using just tire laws and speed limits.
No, eventually you have to write a massive check to rebuild the reality.
Which brings us to the $300 million CDOT lifeline. They just approved a massive, updated 10-year statewide plan featuring more than 250 projects.
It's a complete overhaul.
And the state is officially earmarking over $300 million, specifically for the Northwest region.
This massive injection of capital is going to fund the major upgrades along the I-70 mountain corridor and critical surrounding roads.
It's what's needed just to survive these environmental shifts. Think about that number for a second, though. $300 million?
It's a staggering amount of money.
That is the literal cost of adapting to a world where the snow melts a month early.
It synthesizes this entire deep dive journey perfectly. We started with a missing drop of water on a snow-tell gauge.
Which triggered those flow restrictors on homes.
Right, and escalated the fear of wildfire, forcing Jessica Rand's warnings, which then forced winter driving laws into summer.
And culminated in a $300 million infrastructure bill.
This raises an important question, though. Adaptation isn't just a buzzword. It's an incredibly expensive physical reality.
It really is the brutal costs of doing business with a changing planet. The interconnectedness of all this is just mind-blowing.
From the 0th percentile snowpack to the strict Code 15 tire laws in May, every system reacts to the stress of the others.
So we want to leave you with a final lingering thought today. If our physical environments, state laws, and infrastructure are no longer aligning with the traditional calendar, are the 4 seasons officially an obsolete concept?
That is the big question. It completely upends how we plan our lives.
Are we moving into an era where planning by the calendar is impossible, and we just have to learn to exist in a state of permanent, real-time reaction?
It certainly looks that way.
Something to think about the next time you're packing your summer gear and your snow chains on the exact same day. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We appreciate your time, and we encourage you to keep asking the big questions.